Since 2006, I've been selling commercial real estate, and it's been different asset classes, not just multifamily. I've done mobile home parks, I've done shopping centers, I've done an office building in downtown Miami. So obviously each asset class has its own characteristics and how you handle the conversation with the owner.
Mic check. I'm good.
Mic check. Mic check.
You can read about success all day long, but if you don't put in the work, the mindset, execution, and the hustle behind your vision, it just remains a dream.
When everything goes wrong, you have to take all the responsibility.
We uncover what high-level entrepreneurs, business owners do to rise up from hustling daily.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Join me as I share with you actionable tips to help you grow your business, learn skills, and help you level up in your self-development journey.
Your number one spot for business and personal growth is the Online Hustlers Podcast with your host, Esteban Andrade.
Every day I'm hustling.
What is going on? ¿Qué pasó? Everything. It's a great day to be in the podcast because what we're going to dial in today with is going to be about multifamily. And as you have seen and heard in other episodes, we have brought a lot of people that do wholesaling real estate. They do single family investing, and they do other different lines of businesses within single family real estate. But we haven't really brought the multifamily topic, which is a huge topic that a lot of people would want to get into. People start seeing, obviously, Grant Cardone getting into this big game of getting into big multifamily investing, that you have to be either an investor that can put down $100,000 down or $75,000 down, $50,000 down in order to start investing to these big projects. And you have to be an accredited investor or something like that. You see that other big players starting to get into like acquiring these big ass complex apartments and condos and things like that. So today we're going to bring in someone that specializes in multifamily, and she's not only specialized in multifamily, but she's very well known in the Florida area, in the South Florida area, and she's done already events. She's helped a bunch of people. She has helped a bunch of other speakers that being in this podcast acquire multifamily properties. And I like to walk through some of those real studies because she's also a real estate investor. She's been getting into multifamily already for some time. And it's going to be amazing the amount of information that you're going to get because a lot of you want to really get into multifamily at some point, right? That's like a goal, right? Just myself, I got into multifamily just very recently with my coach, Pace Morby. So I really want to help you guys to get into here. If you find any value whatsoever in this episode, just share, like, and subscribe, and make sure that you share with your friends. Otherwise, we will not be able to bring more heat to the game. So we have Kristine Flook right here today with us. She's an amazing person that we've been talking for a while in social media, and I've been wanting to get her in, especially because she's local. She is such a great giving individual. You can see that from everything that she's being part of. Every single time that I see her online, she has a really great attitude. She has a really great knowledge base. She has a great experience, and she's local to me as well. And actually, I'm very wondering why we haven't met. We haven't met in person.
Yeah, I know, but we've been working on trying to do that since we've been in South Florida. So thank you so much for having me, and hopefully I can bring some value to your listeners.
Thank you. So let's get into this first, Kristine. I really like for people to start getting into multifamily and have this episode as like, okay, multifamily can be done. I'm a wholesaler or I'm a single family real estate investor. I've just been scared of my life in multifamily and I have no idea. Or maybe I'm a real estate agent. Maybe I'm a digital marketer here. Maybe I'm a service provider on real estate. And I don't know if multifamily is my thing, but I really would love to understand from your background, and I understand from obviously from your starting, past life and everything. How'd you get into this game? It's such a, it's such a great, it's such a great
It's a great asset
vertical.
class.
It's a great vertical. It's a great asset class to be in.
So I've been in real estate since 2004 here in South Florida. And I started selling and being around commercial real estate in 2006. I had worked at different brokerages. I'm a real estate agent, and we here at Urbanize Properties, we're just a boutique firm here in South Florida. But we do have a reach, in other areas of Florida. So going back to coming into commercial real estate, basically the skill sets that I learned was a lot of prospecting and getting on the phone and talking to owners of buildings. So it started out 4 units, 6, 8, 10, anything say under 20 units. I wasn't that intimidated to get on the phone and talk to owners. Obviously, like anything, as more as you practice, the better you become at handling objections and moving things down the line as far as how to handle the next step in commercial. And so I've now grown to, over 100 unit buildings. I recently, I say last year, I did a 384 unit acquisition in Daytona Beach. And a lot of that has been a benefit through networking and through being on social media and running into people like you, where we can have the opportunity to work together.
That is freaking amazing. You actually mentioned a few key things that people need to understand. That I believe that the multifamily game, if you were to be doing an active acquisition of these commercial buildings or just big multifamily buildings, the principles are essentially the same as you're doing right now in wholesaling. You're just speaking with another type of individual. Okay.
Correct.
More or less, based on one of the episodes that we had, someone that started a digital company and then started going into multifamily. She started cold calling all these other real estate investors and multifamily owners that either had inherited or have been investing in real estate for such a long time. You just got to change the way that you talk to them and the conversation. Right?
Exactly. I mean, instead of saying house, you just replace the word property. Hi, Mr. Owner, I'm calling to find out if you're interested in selling your property, whether it's a 10 unit building, a 20 or 50. Obviously, depending on the size of the property, sophisticated sellers do show up. I mean, when you're talking to somebody, if you will, that's selling a 20 unit building, it could be a mom and pop, or it could be a corporation that owns multiple 20 unit buildings. There's a sophistication, obviously, as you grow in the level of units, because speaking to someone who owns 400 units and seeing if they would like to sell, it's a little different, but I would say it's a lot of kind of like you're saying with the wholesaling and single family homes, or even BRRRR for that matter. It is still a lot of the same activity. Getting on the phone, looking for motivated sellers, price and terms are always, something that's going to show up to obviously benefit, a transaction.
That's awesome. What are the key few things that a multifamily investor that you've seen? Wow, I've seen this person that I work with, or even myself, that brought me to success within the multifamily world, that you just have applied this exact same formula or things in order to be really, really good at this?
Well, like I was saying, since 2006, I've been selling commercial real estate, and it's been different asset classes, not just multifamily. I've done mobile home parks. I've done shopping centers. I've done an office building in downtown Miami. So obviously each asset class has its own characteristics and how you handle the conversation with the owner. I would say my ex-broker was the one that really helped me understand multifamily, helped me understand the numbers, and helped me how to evaluate it. And like I said, being able to move along the food chain, if you would, to higher unit counts. I've been investing in real estate since 2015, and in 2019 is when I learned about syndications. It's funny because most of the people I was dealing with up till 2019 were mostly investors. And this whole syndication and now buying large apartment buildings and being in a pool with other investors that bring their capital to come in as a limited partner, it's like a whole other world out there. And it's really a great way to have another income stream. As you're doing wholesaling, that's an income stream. And as a limited partner investing in an over 300 unit apartment building, as a limited partner, that's another income stream. And you get the opportunity to learn from people like Pace Marby and other people that are in that space.
Yeah, I think for me, it was huge that I was given the opportunity because no one really knows this right now, but Pace had put together this big 400, I call it big because for me it's big, but for some people,
sure it is. Yeah.
400 unit Charlotte, North Carolina building. And it's a really good looking building. But the problem is that the owners have not been able to truly maintain the operations of this building. And it has been decaying over the years and mostly over the last few months. And now the owner obviously is now willing to sell it to Pace Marby's team. Pace Marby was able to acquire this property and now is raising this big amount of capital, which they did. But now getting to the softy community and telling them, look, students, now you can invest with this. Yes, you have to be an accredited investor, but what's going to allow you is to get more exposure, not only to my multifamily crew, to me in multifamily, get more deals, but I'm also going to give you other benefits. Not only we're going to have a return investment based on the offering memorandum that we're going to give you, but also you're going to be able to have speaking time. You're going to be able to have some walking through the property. We're going to fly to the property and we're going to walk through the entire thing and how we're going to change the entire operation.
Video walkthroughs. Yeah, exactly. And something like that, if I may, being able to find let's call it a mom and pop, if you would, or even, a corporation that owns a property that they have not been taking advantage of the management. And that's what we call a value add opportunity. And I'm sure, Pace and his partners found that as a value add opportunity. So of course you want some meat on the bone, if you would, whenever you're buying a large multifamily property. And, typically you are between a 3 and 5 year hold. There are two options as an accredited investor that you mentioned, a 506C, and there's a 506B, which is limited to 35 investors in an investment opportunity. But a 506C, you can have, unlimited amount of investors in it. So yeah, doing as an accredited investor is definitely a lot of opportunities out there. And like you said, when you get in with the right syndication team, you start with one and then you realize, wow, we've had some really good success. They hit the time frames that they said that I would have my capital back. You get paid out either quarterly or monthly as a distribution. Obviously, you get the tax benefits through cost segregation and bonus depreciation. And you get your K-1s every year. And it's a great way to not have to hang out with Uncle Sam and give him all that money.
Yeah. And I think that you're speaking a lot of really good stuff, but like there is, there might be people listening to this that they're trying to have a brain dump of all these things that you're telling, like not only all these codes, but also all these benefits that they might be getting with multifamily. They might not also know what can they do in multifamily if they're not an accredited investor. So let's break it down from let's say the basics right now. How can someone that is doing wholesaling, or even someone that is just has a good entry income, like someone that has a service, someone that has another business, how can
even a W-2?
Exactly, yeah. Even a W-2. How can someone get into multifamily?
Excellent. Great question. I would obviously make sure that as you're interviewing operators, you're going through a series of questions. You want to know what their track record is. Have they ever had to do, a call for capital where, hey, we thought that we're going to put $1 million into a property and we realized we need $1.5 million. And so we have to do a capital call and request additional money from the LPs. It's not uncommon. Obviously, you don't want to run into that scenario, but if you do, so these are obviously you're interviewing the operator as much as they're kind of interviewing you, making sure, hey, if you said you're going to invest $50,000, that you make sure you do it in the time frame that's set within, the call that you have with the operator, the syndication team. You also want to make sure that who is part of the team is the asset management, that they have track record of success with those size of buildings. If they're used to doing 20, 50 units and now they're going into 200 units, obviously you just want to make sure you're asking the right questions, because it is your capital that you've either wholesaled and made your fees off of, or you have a W-2 job, and maybe it's an investment of 50,000, you only have 25, and you can perhaps bring in a family member, create an LLC with your accountant. And I definitely think that there is a lot of room and space for beginners to be in the multifamily space. And you think that you have to have a lot of money, or you think you have to have, everything lined up, and you don't. You just use other people's successes and track record to be able to build your team.
I think that's really
I hope I answered that.
No, I think it's really key that you have told us that not only good keyword beginners can also do this,
Leverage
the success of other people's track record, right? So that could be the success of the other operators that they're interviewing. That could be the success of other people that might want to get part of the pie, right? Because they believe that they also want to do this. So I think you just mentioned like really key points there. I really want to ask you, right now, your team, how are they acquiring these multifamily opportunities? Let's go to that, because I want to start understanding how you're doing it right now and how you can teach it to others. And then we can go back at like the other shapes of like multifamily investing. But how are you doing right now? How's your team currently acquiring multifamily?
Pretty much just like the same way you're doing wholesaling and or helping others with the wholesaling, because you're a digital company, right? So you do, different outlets for sourcing leads, whether it's the phone, whether it's Facebook ads, Google, things like that. But I would say my number one source is the phone. I'm looking up owners and I'm contacting them either by the phone. Hopefully I'm not getting to a gatekeeper, which is usually the secretary. And hopefully I'm able to get to the CEO or to the decision maker. Might be more than one person, but that's my main source in contacting owners. I mean, I pretty much prospect all day long looking for off-market properties. Here at Urbanize Properties, we've been active at this for over 20 years. And 80% of what we do is off-market. And obviously, being in the business since 2006, you become, relationships either with owners and do more than one transaction, and or that owner refers you to someone else that is looking for your services as far as either buying the asset or helping them sell the asset. And obviously, brokers. Through the years, you get a list of the good ones to work with, the ones that align with your values. Whoop, there it goes. And that's funny, huh? And so
the flag just
it just fell down. So that's a lot of it. So a lot of it for me has been through networking and through the phone is how I'm getting to a lot of owners.
Yeah, I feel like the multifamily acquisition, at least the lead generation part of it, it's a different beast, because we have tried Facebook advertising, we have tried Google advertising, and
what about print? Have you done print?
No, we haven't tried print, and the not only the volume of it is so low, and the cost is also so high that sometimes we don't even know which type of expectations to put, because we try to lower the expectations as much as possible, because it's completely different ball game than single family.
Sure.
And even then, we only get maximum of like 3-unit, 4-unit, things like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get packages of other properties, but of single family packages, but
portfolio.
really like multifamily, we haven't been able to crack code on it. And I know that with Google, it's available, it's there, but it just requires way more
trial and error,
more
right?
trial and error, more effort, and more money, because that's the way it is. Now, what are the marketing channels that you currently do are networking, referral marketing channel, and you also do cold calling, right?
Yes.
When you do cold calling, are you doing cold calling? Or currently have a team doing cold calling? How's that working out right now?
It's me and my real estate partner. Her name's Janet. She's the broker of Urbanize Properties. We've been open since 2015. I have been learning since probably 2006 how to get on the phone, handle objections, and I use a lot of scripts. And, as you continue to practice, obviously you get better, and then handling objections. And obviously when you're going on appointments, the thing is to ask for the owner. A lot of times you might already know the answer, but I try to do my best to ask questions, even though I already, like I said, know the answer, because they feel like that they're in control when they're having to answer versus you telling them about something with the condition of the property. When's the last time you updated the AC in the last, year? Oh, well, I did it in unit number X and so forth, so on, versus you're walking around the property, you're going, they haven't changed the ACs, Yeah. So I think a lot of what you do with your team and with your digital marketing, you probably handle a lot of the phones and, well, not you, but your team, the calls. It's just basically me and my broker that are handling the business at Urbanize Properties right now. We are considering bringing in someone to create the cold call approach and get them into a warm space. And then that's where we would come in and talk to them. But like I said, it's a little bit of a sophistication when you're dealing with multifamily and you're dealing with, let's call it over 20 units of a property owner.
Yeah. And if I were to give you a little bit of feedback, can I give you a little bit of
Absolutely.
feedback? So one of the things that I have realized is, regardless of the skill set that you need for an employee, the most important thing will be the hiring, onboarding, and training process. So let's say, for example, you need someone for that role, you need a role that is so sophisticated, then you may want to have someone that probably have spoken with not only high-level individuals, but have been able to had a track record of speaking on tough conversations. So maybe they have to elevate their technical language. Maybe they have to elevate the way that they handle complex situations. And then onboarding in your own sales and follow-up systems that you create, this is part of your team onboarding, and have continuous training of what you've done. So for example, you absolutely going through these property calls, through these sophisticated calls, recording them, making sure that you create the framework of what's needed for multifamily, which it shouldn't be as different, because at the end of the day, it's like we're dealing with human beings. Yeah. But obviously there's different nuances of multifamily. So now that is going to be put together. So every single time that you have someone in an interview, you know exactly how to make them winner in that specific job. So
Correct.
That you can do. If you watch the episode of the digital marketing owner, digital marketing agency owner, in, I believe it's episode 22 or 23, she started training someone. She'd never been in any real estate investing, but she had a coach, basically someone like you, that was really good at having sophisticated conversations. And
that's awesome. What's her name?
Her name is Jade Gorling. And
okay.
They were able to really have this one or two cold callers to cold call these individuals, but then they will just spark a conversation, and the people that knew about this sophisticated phone call, then they'll continue the conversation through a live transfer. All right. So it was like, it's not like the cold caller is gonna, take care of the entire conversation. The cold caller is just going to spark the conversation of interest of selling the property, and then the live transfer happens. So
Gotcha. That
would be a really great episode for people to go back. But today, right now, we have an experienced multifamily investor company. All right. And Urbanize Properties here with Kristine Flook have been doing this already for a long time. I want to walk through that case study of like 300 plus units like that you've done. I think, was it last year, this year?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So one of the things that was, there was several little things that were actually interesting about that. I had prospected the owner off market.
Nice.
And they were considering, this particular property was an equity partner. So one equity partner was leaving and they needed to replace the equity with another partner. So I had a relationship with this gentleman, and he came in as the equity partner. He had actually met the operator of this 384 unit in Daytona a few years ago in New York. And he had mentioned to himself, in the future, I want to be able to work with this group. And when I contacted him and said, hey, we've got an off-market property, they're looking for X, Y, and Z. And he goes, oh my gosh, I had breakfast with this operator years ago, and I said I wanted to do business with him. And we got on a conference call. Everything was great. And in July of last year, we were able to successfully do that $42 million acquisition with the operator and the equity group. And the equity group was very happy to be able to work with them. And the fact that we were here local creating this opportunity, and it was all done off market. So it was really a fantastic thing, because who would have known that I would have contacted this gentleman wanting to do business with somebody I didn't even know he wanted to do business with. And here they are doing business together. And on the scale of this being 384 units in Daytona.
That's great. That is a combination of your core skills and
and all off market.
There's a continued networking, and just that continued networking and referral type of marketing that you currently do. And it just comes down to doing that together. Well,
great. Well, just stay in touch with everybody. I mean, you just can't say, hey, for one phone call and then, okay, I'll see you later, never call again. You just keep on them and keep bringing acquisitions. And I was actually working with this group on their properties in Ohio. One was like a 65 unit building, and the other one was a 32 or 35 unit building. So there were two properties owned by the same owner. I was working with him and his group because I actually had buyers in Columbus, Ohio. And so, when you talk about just networking, constantly staying in touch with them, because you never know what their appetite's going to be at that time. So, yeah, for sure, staying in touch is key. Follow up.
That's awesome. Now, I believe that you've done business with Stephanie Betters. Was that the same deal?
Yes. Yep. Stephanie Betters. She's great. She's an amazing lady. I saw her on Bill Allen's, I think it was Flip Hacking Live event back in 2020. And then we saw each other again last year when he had it. And she's just a wonderful lady. And yes, she was part of that acquisition. And we stay in touch frequently. Obviously, she's in the business with, I think it's Left REI Maine. I believe do you have that, or I don't know, but
Maine. Yeah, a bunch of clients have Left Maine.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Left Maine. So she's just a wonderful lady, and she's helped me a lot. So. Yeah.
So let's understand what's the structure of a multifamily and why that, a structure, the deal works out.
The main thing, you have more than one door. I mean, that's it right then and there, right? You have multiple doors, you have multiple units for income. And you always try to look something, obviously, for value add. I mean, obviously, Class A is a great asset class to own. I mean, Grant Cardone, my goodness, he owns several of them here in South Florida. But I mean, there's your advantage right there. You have more than one door. And you could also burn multifamily if you wanted to. Buy it, rehab it, renovate it. Well, that's part of it. Refinance and repeat, right? So it's not just associated with single family. You can do it with multifamily as well.
All right. And for example, how does a traditional particular, let's say someone acquires a deal, someone has this negotiation with the seller, and now they have to somehow find the money or get the money. How people would normally do the structuring of a deal? Like,
Well, you're talking about capital raising, right? Kind of like.
Yes. Anything regarding like capital raising, anything regarding how we're going to move forward with this deal. Like, can you walk us through an example, for example, the ones that you've done so that
Sure.
people
Yeah, sure. Great question. Obviously you can do it in a couple of different ways. You can do it as a syndication, which is either a 506C or a 506B, or you can do it as a JV. You can bring on certain partners, where you all agree to have certain criterias in what you're doing, fulfilling the job to be able to run and purchase a multifamily property. You have people that will be doing the asset management. You have people that will be identified who do the capital raising. You have people that will be what we call a key principal, which is someone who signs on the loan. And again, you can do it as a syndication or you can do it as a JV. As a syndication, as a 506C, you can have multiple and unlimited investors. Like I mentioned earlier, 506B, you can have up to 35 investors in a purchase. How would you structure that? I mean, obviously, it all comes down to who the main sponsor is and who they've had previous experience in where they've had track records with. Sometimes people stay within the same groups. With operators, they will choose the same people over and over and over again to buy multiple buildings. Then there's some operators that maybe you have 2 or 3 acquisitions with them, and then they want to move on and join in with other operators that come in with maybe different asset managements. It can all be location based too. Maybe you work with people that are in Georgia, and then you have other groups that are in Florida, or maybe you have other groups that are in Philadelphia. So it just all ranges, who you want to team up with. But I definitely think having someone with experience and the track record that can handle these size of multifamily properties is key.
Yeah. And obviously just getting the money in.
Getting the money. Yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, you're always networking for capital, right? You never kind of put your pencil down. You're always, whether it's going to the grocery store, whether you're running into somebody at a restaurant, or whether you're having a conversation at an event that's not real estate based, but you're always dropping those seeds and obviously keeping on top of that, because when an opportunity comes up and they said, hey, if you ever get an opportunity, call me. Well, that's exactly why I'm showing up today. Brian, you remember when we spoke about a year ago? Oh yeah, I remember. Well, now that opportunity's here and you share with them, a way for them to take their money out of 401k or self-directed IRA, or the money that's in their savings. It's not earning them, less than 1% in the bank, to be able to jump on an opportunity investing in multifamily.
Usually after you acquire a property, multifamily property, how long do you have until you can get all the money in?
Well, usually it's for your distributions, it can range from quarterly to monthly. Usually it's about 6 months once you go and you purchase the asset. And it's about 3 to 5 years is usually the typical hold that I'm looking for at the moment. Sometimes there's generational wealth purchases where they do it for many years, 12, 35 years, where they hold on to it because these people have children that they're going to pass it on as a generation. Some people that want to invest in that can find that as an advantage. Some people that may be single, that don't have kids, that they're leaving a generational wealth with, might not find 12 to 35-year hold to be something they want to invest in. So I would say anywhere between 3 and 5 years is a typical hold. And I just did a full cycle is what they call it. I did 529 units in October 2019. The property is in Dallas, Texas. And I was a limited partner in the opportunity to, do a syndication. And we just did a full cycle in May. So they just recently sold the asset, and we'll be getting, I think it was like a 25% IRR. So we got distributed monthly, and now, so between that and now what we're going to get back, it was an excellent opportunity to get into. So I'm so glad that I did.
So why like in multifamily, obviously with this type of investments, you see that in single family, sometimes the money can just be held for like 6 months or like 12 months, right? Or because it's a much shorter, like you do the repairs, you flip it, you sell it right away. But why are we looking for this 3 to 5 years kind of range? And usually this is the hold where investors have to hold this money into this. We're going to hold into the property. Why is this the 3 to 5 years the normal? And why can't we just like turn it around faster and just sell it? Is there any reason for that?
Well, I'm sure there's a few reasons. And one of it would be, mortgage lenders, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they have seasons of, how long that they give you the loan for, and before you can go and either refinance it out or sell the asset. So that's probably one factor there. Another one is, like I said, you have to have time to do your value add package. If you're buying a property and you're saying, hey, Mr. Investors, we're buying it and it's a $900 rent right now, but we can get it up to a $1,200 rent within 18 to 24 months. That takes time. We're talking on, over 100 unit buildings. You have a plan of how many units you're going to value add. And in those, let's say the first 6 months you're doing 10 units, and then maybe you're doing another 30 units in the next 6 months. So it takes time to bring the value add concept to that multifamily and get that value there to where, let's say you buy it at a 4.5% cap rate and you need to sell it at, say, a 5.25. It takes that long to be able to create your business plan of value add.
Yeah. And value add is, obviously there's different ways to add value to a property.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, how can we add value to a multifamily property once it's acquired?
Great. Obviously it starts with the units. What kind of countertops do you have? What kind of fixtures do you have in the kitchens and the bathrooms? What kind of floors do you have? How old's the roof? What's the, central AC or window units? Or if you're in, like Ohio, what's the heating system like? Do you offer a pet area for your dogs to do their business and people maybe to hang out and have other dogs hang out with other dogs? Do you have a playground, something for the kids? So it's all kinds of different ways that you can add value to a multifamily property for sure. Okay.
So those are a few key things. Now, whenever you're telling us that you have a 25% IRR, that you're part of this investment, right? Is that a great? Is that a super great? Is that investment?
Yeah, so I say right now with the change in the interest rates that have obviously gone higher and changed, a lot of way of how we're investing right now, but still many, many opportunities out there to invest in real estate. Right now, I'm seeing things hover between 14 and 16%. Obviously, that is still an excellent return. But this particular opportunity, I was able to capture 25%. And I think it was around a 1.7 max multiplier on that. Obviously, anything that's 2 and over is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people that have gone full cycles on some acquisitions that they bought in 19 and 2020. And, with the market being what it is, it's absolutely crazy right now. But there's still, again, a lot of opportunities.
And the shorter that you hold it with that same multiplier, the better. Because it means
absolutely, because then you just turn your money right just that much sooner. Exactly.
When is it that you're gonna get your money once again after you have invested this? And most importantly, what are you gonna do with the return?
Excellent. So we call that a full cycle. And that's when you make the acquisition, you invest your money, and then once they execute on the business plan, they close on the asset, which is called a full cycle. And then you take your funds and you move it into either a new multifamily property, either with that operator or with another operator.
All right. So one of the key things to understand is that once you have gotten return from some investment, Uncle Sam comes in and be like, "Oh yeah,
always Uncle Sam," no matter if it's single family or not, right?
And then, regardless of what business you are, he's gonna come for you. All right,
yeah, for sure.
It's like the monster under your bed, and him is going to make sure that you get less. But now, how can we compound this and continuously grow it? Well, you take the return right after you get it and immediately invest it. But how is that going to work out in terms of like our famous tax conversations, Kristine?
Well, I would say that's definitely not one of my expertise, but obviously have an accountant that's able to answer those questions, and someone that's obviously experienced with working with syndications and K1s. Most accountants do have experience with that. If they don't, I would run away and find somebody else. But obviously you want to just keep your money always moving for you. You know, obviously sitting in the bank is not doing much for anyone. So when you come up to somebody and you say, I've got an opportunity for you to earn, 7, 8, 9% on your money and get a tax benefit from it as well, ears perk up for sure. And like I said, I think you need to definitely get with a tax accountant to see what's the best benefit for you in reinvesting your money, definitely keeping it moving. That's for sure.
100%. For example, what are you going to do with that return?
I've got an opportunity that I'm looking at. Obviously, as you network and you go to multifamily events, you start feeling out, who you vibe with and who you think you might want to do business with. And obviously, through the years that I've been in networking events, I found a couple of groups that I feel comfortable with and I have invested with them. So, and then there's some people that have funds and that you can invest in as well, not just one specific asset. It's more like a fund that covers multiple assets. It could be triple net assets like a General Dollar or CVS, and maybe they also have a multifamily property in there, and maybe they also have land. So there's a different way to invest your money besides just a specific asset. So I'm looking at a couple of different things right now in Texas and also in land development.
That's great. I want to say that if you're going to continue to lose money if you keep your money. Like you're going to continuously lose the money if you continually hold on that money because it's going to be eaten away by inflation. It's going to be eaten away by taxes.
Absolutely.
The only way to do it is just like Uncle G says, really, is that you have to get it away from you, right?
You sure you're not saying Uncle Grant Cardone?
Yeah, a Grant Cardone. That's right. Uncle G. Yeah. Have you met him?
I have not met him. Obviously, where I live is literally, up the street from his office building. I noticed that he bought the office building next door to him in the Aventura area. And about a month or so ago, he bought a multifamily building on the river. So, yeah, I'm very familiar and stay in touch with, a lot of things that he's doing. And obviously, if I can, when I can, if I can share an acquisition for him to take a look at, for sure I will.
Awesome. Now, we're going back to how can someone invest, and I think that we cover a lot of really good details now. But as a regular W-2, as a regular business owner that has no idea about real estate or never done invest in real estate, perhaps you have a service, perhaps you have a great product, maybe you're not even in the industry game of real estate. How can they start investing into these properties without having to do the effort of like cold calling multifamily owners? How can they get into that? And how can you help?
Great question. It goes back to kind of like what you have been sharing in the last couple of weeks, how what you're taking with, let's call it your income in what you're doing in your digital space in either wholesaling or fix and flipping. And you're taking that and instead of maybe putting it back into another flip or putting it back to a single family home, you're diversifying your income stream by investing in multifamily. So like you said, if you're a W-2 and you've got some money there and you're looking to invest in a property, again, it can range from 25,000 up to, obviously over 100,000. So I would say if you have a group of people that that want to invest in multifamily and you don't have all of the funds to do that with, definitely create an LLC, get with your family members, get them to say, hey, I want you to hop on this webinar tonight. They're going to go over the acquisition. They're going to go over all the numbers on the property, and we can jump in together and invest together and get the benefits from it. When you are obviously doing social media, people see your posts. They see that you're investing in large multifamily, and they reach out to you and say, hey, I see what you're doing. I thought you were, wholesaling. Now you're doing multifamily. Wow, I want to learn more about it. And that's kind of like where it starts, by putting it out there and allowing people to see and hear what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to note what you said. Like you said, regardless of what you're doing, you are able to diversify into multifamily. But why would people go and take the risk on such a big asset? What are the benefits of multifamily?
Tax benefits. You get a K-1 every year. Cost segregation is a great source for all operators, and hopefully they are doing that with all their properties. You can take 37 and a half years and fast forward it and push it forward and create a benefit for your investors. A lot of times, during the first years when they do the cost segregations, so let's say you gave $50,000, you could get 80% of your money back within the first year because of the cost segregation and being able to force the appreciation of the property. So that's fantastic. When you hear, wow, I'm going to get 80% of my money back in a year or even 2 years, that's fantastic. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Why is that important? Why is cost segregation important? For people that are not really familiar with that word, and why?
Well, like I said, it's a tax benefit, and it forces the, how would you say it? Well, like I said, it's a cost segregation that's done by a specific company. And there's many people out there that offer this service. Obviously, it's a service you have to pay for. And what they do is they force the appreciation of the building so you as an investor can benefit in getting your money back sooner.
That's right. You can get your money back sooner. And it's basically like a tax. It's basically like a tax benefit where you write off this segregation as a tax, and this is how the rich gets richer. Don't ask me.
Absolutely. It's a tax strategy that allows real estate owners to utilize the accelerated depreciation deductions to increase cash flow and like I said, it's a benefit for your taxes for sure.
As you hire better CPAs, you will need to learn these things yourself, because if you don't learn these big fancy words, then you're going to be lost every single time that you're talking with millionaires, multimillionaires, people that invest into real estate, that know what's going on.
Yeah, listen, you can research vocabulary words, and that's sure. There's tons of YouTube videos out there talking about, advantages of investing in multifamily. So, yeah.
Real estate itself is such a great place to put your money.
Yeah, amazing. For sure. It's an incredible opportunity, and we still, even though we're in the market that we are in right now, which is very hot and moving fast, there's still a lot of opportunity out there.
You said that interviewing operators was one of the key crucial things at the beginning of this conversation. What would you say it's one of those key things to ask operators to make sure to filter out the ones that do not work and the ones that actually do work, and that you're going to have an amazing investment?
I think as you continue to network and become aware of going to events and being on Zoom calls with other people that are in the multifamily space, you become acquainted with people that you can reach out to and ask questions. And that's exactly one of the ways how I've done it, besides attending events and networking and bumping shoulders with people that own thousands of apartments. If I have a question about, whoever, let's call them person X, I'll call up person Y. Hey, person Y, I was thinking about investing with person X. And have you ever invested with them? Have you heard anything about how they operate, their track record? And obviously speaking to the operator directly and asking them, how long have you invested? What's your track record? If something happens with the building, how have you handled it? Different things like that. So for sure, networking and talking to people that have either know of them or have their track record. So that's a lot of it for me. It's just getting on the phone and talking to people or connecting with people and asking them
for you, if you were to invest in your own deal, like for example, 25%, and you probably never heard of the operator, what would be the questions you ask?
Well, the one thing would be the track record. How long have you been doing it? Have you ever had a capital call? That's a very important question.
Capital call.
A capital call, right, which means I've invested, let's call it $100,000, but the operator overextended on the repairs and they thought it was only going to be $50,000 and it winds up being $200,000. So they reach back out to the investor and they do a capital call and ask them to invest more money into the property because they didn't properly evaluate what they thought was going to be $50,000, which is now $200,000. Let's just call it. Yeah. So that's a big question. Another one is obviously who your asset managements are. Who is your syndication attorney? Because you want to make sure that you're always in compliance. It's a big deal to be in compliance, obviously.
Syndication attorney. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. What else do you think is important?
I think also having access to the operator whenever you have questions, because not only are you a limited partner, but you're also there learning. So you want to learn and start learning the lingo. You want to learn, you want to be able to, hey, I want to walk the asset that I'm investing in and I'm going to go do it on X day and time. And can somebody be there? Because you want to see that they are doing the updates and doing the value add business plan, staying in touch with them. I mean, if I have questions right now and I reach out, usually within a few hours, I have answers to my questions. Hey, I noticed the business plan was to have 30 units up and rehabbed. Where are we at on those 30 units? Getting those answers. I mean, communication is very key throughout the whole time that you're in holding an acquisition.
At what point do you think that you should be like hands off with a property? Like, is it like the mom and pop type of properties that are like maybe easier to get around or flip around, or the large multifamily properties that are like hundreds or even thousands? Like, is that it's actually hand off?
You have to prove yourself if you're going to be an active investor, and you have to. Most everybody that is an active investor is a capital raiser, so they're not just, let's call it asset management, but they're also bringing capital to the table for the purchase of the property. I hope I'm answering your question correctly. Another thing is you have to decide whether you're going to be active or passive. Yeah. Passive investors, a limited partner, and basically they're saying, hey, an operator, we're bringing in limited partners. We appreciate if you would, invest in the property, but just knowing that you're hands off and that we're going to be the ones who's making all the decisions, which is an active, operator sponsor of the property. So as a limited partner, you basically are hands off. So you have to be aware that you're not going to have any say so in the business plan.
Right. What if you actually get access, like you mentioned, get access to this person or get access to what they're doing and things like that? And perhaps, I don't know, your business is a business that can add a lot of ideas and value to it.
Absolutely.
Can that work sometimes? Like, for instance, like...
For sure. I mean, look, because you're in digital business, right? And if you speak to someone who's handling that part of the business to run the multifamily property, hey, have you considered doing so-and-so? And if you have a digital background that that could bring up the rents or add some amenities to the property, then through a digital outlet that they might not know of, for sure, why wouldn't you want to present it?
Right. Yeah. And I think that
I'm not shy, so I think, and I apologize, I'm one who asks questions. I'm the one who wants to get to know and things. And if it's not my space to know it, then they will tell me. But I like to ask questions because I want to learn.
100%. And you can tell here, guys, that even Kristine is dedicated to the multifamily acquisition. Are you having certain days that you do calls to investors, to other property owners? Do you have dedicated, or are you doing that daily, every single day?
Daily.
Mm-hmm. What type
even if I'm just going down the street and I see a property, depending on what it is, I mean, I'll come back and I'll research it and I'll pull up the owner, or if there was a telephone number at that property, I'll make sure I write it down and call them. Because remember, it might be a for rent sign, which is a great source of, getting leads. You want to speak to the owner. Sometimes, obviously, you might speak to the property manager, but it might not be that property specifically, but maybe they're looking to buy. Maybe they're not always interested in selling, but maybe they're looking to buy, and then, you call them and maybe you have something for them. So there's always opportunities.
A potential seller can also become a buyer.
Absolutely.
Like a buyer can become a seller. That's
Absolutely.
Great. And how do you start conversations with these property owners that potentially want to sell?
Hi, I'm calling about the building 123 on Main Street, and I was in the area and I was calling to find out if you're interested in selling your property. No, I'm not. No problem. Is this the only one that you own? No, I own other ones. Fantastic. What areas are those in? Well, there's one in Jacksonville, Florida. Awesome. I have investors in Jacksonville. Matter of fact, I'm looking for myself, and so forth and so on and so on.
That's pretty great. And you see, you can put these frameworks and you can put this, create scripts from these frameworks, and you can give this to these cold callers that will be doing that hard work for you. And now you can invest more time into the higher level things, perhaps referral business, networking, right?
Yeah, money-making activities for sure.
Money-making activities. That's pretty great. Kristine, how can we make business together?
Fantastic question. Let me know when you're ready to hop on a call and we can discuss your criteria. I mean, obviously you work with PACE. I know PACE comes from an approach of creative financing. And I know that he's being successful right now with multifamily acquisitions with creative financing. And I definitely think that there's a lot more space for that. And whenever you and I are ready to hop on a call and talk about what it is that you want to buy, or maybe we might even partner in something.
Absolutely. So how can people actually reach out to you if they were interested in investing in multifamily real estate here in South Florida, Miami, talk about different opportunities, or even send you opportunities as well that you can acquire with your partner broker? How can people reach out to you?
Excellent. Great question. Kristine Flook, commercial real estate in Florida, 305-318-6366. And I'm at Kristine, Kristine, at urbanizeproperties.com.
Okay, urbanizeproperties.com.
Obviously, I'm on social media, just like you are.
Social media?
Kristine Flook. Yeah, awesome.
Kristine Flook. Okay, sounds good. Everyone that wants to really invest into the palm tree beach state and the amazing weather state of Florida, South Florida, actually, then you can speak with Kristine Flook, and she will have amazing opportunities. And if you see any opportunities for multifamily, obviously reach out also to Kristine. I think that there will be a lot of good opportunities to work together here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Esteban, thank you so much. I hope that I brought some value to your listeners. I know that we've been talking for, my gosh, probably almost 2 years, give or take. So I'm glad we finally got to put a face to face.
Thank you, Kristine, so much. Thank you for bringing value, and hope to see you in different events. I've seen you in different events already. I mean, one or two events here and there, right? That you went.
Correct.
You actually were a spokesperson, or like, were you a speaker?
I actually was a speaker in October of last year at an event here in Fort Lauderdale about real estate investing. And it was a variety of property management, single family wholesaling, and commercial real estate. So
That's pretty amazing. All right, Kristine, I hope that we can share some stage at some point. And everyone that found this valuable, again, I wanted to like keep it to the level that you guys could understand, because I know as us as real estate investors, sometimes we spit a lot of fire, which means spit a lot of different vocabulary that you might not be used to if you're looking to start into multifamily. But a lot of the listeners are already real estate investors. But if you're not a real estate investor and you found value out of this, share it with your friends, like it, subscribe it. If you're a real estate investor, wholesaler, digital marketer, and you found a lot of value, do the same exact thing. Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcast, everything else. And I hope that you liked it. Let's keep bringing in more heat, more people like this. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. And this is the end of the show. Goodbye.